morning. Today's video is going to be an exploration of some of the art and symbolism of a very ancient culture. This culture is the Minoan culture, and they lived and thrived on an island called Crete in the Mediterranean. Their culture was said to be dated between 3000 BCE and about 1100 BCE, and it seems as though their peak was about 1600 BCE. So we're going back like 3600 years to a culture that really seemed to thrive and focus more on the spiritual aspects of life rather than the temporal aspects of life. Meaning that, of course, they had to fish and plant and provide for a way of life, but their focus was not on attainment of great wealth and building palaces and conquering the world. Rather, it was on taking care of the people of their culture on that island, and really focusing on their spiritual growth. Their culture was matrilineal, which means that they had a goddess that they revered and honored, and they seem to be very knowledgeable in aspects of the spirit that we have lost today. What I mean is that their cities and palaces were great and beautiful and very artistic, but the focus of the art of those palaces and those cities were on spiritual enlightenment and attainment of immortality and knowledge of the cosmos. And we see this theme over and over in ancient cultures. We see the Egyptians were very focused on spirituality, and their entire culture, although they had to fish and plant and maintain livestock and the health of their cities, their actual focus, what they left behind in their artwork, was on the spiritual growth of the human soul. And these two cultures left behind similar artifacts that depicted this. And so when I was looking online, excuse me, when I was looking online, I came across this vase, and I've studied the Minoan culture in the past a little bit. I was intrigued by how different it was from our culture today, where we are so temporal focused. Everything is about stuff. Our houses, our cars, our possessions, our trophies, our awards, and they did not seem to have that kind of focus. So this vase that I saw when I was looking at the Minoan culture, the moment that I saw it, it was like an epiphany. I recognized it as the cosmic soul pathworking that I have done, that I still do. And the vase has an octopus on it. And the placing of the octopus's body is kind of at the top. And then you have its legs all spiraling out in different directions. And the placing of the octopus legs are the different paths along the cosmic journey. So in a previous video, when I was describing the constellations, and I was saying that you can, go from the Gate of Men, you can go up the Milky Way to Auriga and Cassiopeia, and up the Royal Path, Cepheus, and up to Draco and Polaris. Or you can go down the Milky Way past Sirius and Lepus and spiraling all the way down to Dorado and Pavo. Or you can take some of these different side branches, and I didn't really know how to explain them, but if you take the path of the ecliptic, you're going to follow Pisces and Libra and Virgo and Aquarius. And if you take just one of the other routes, then you will find yourself kind of backtracking and going towards Boots and Leo and around the spiral in that direction. You can get on Eridanus if you go under Taurus. You can get on Eridanus and follow the little river down, which actually becomes the Valley of the Shadow. And and the octopus, you know, legs stretched out around this vase. I don't know if it was a duplicate on the back side or if it was just this one side, but it was like clear to me that this was they knew the cosmic pathworking of the soul of awakened Kundalini, and I was just fascinated. Their goddess is considered a snake goddess, and she holds 2 snakes in either hand. And that is a sign of fertility, but it would also be a sign of the Ida and Pingala knowledge of awakening Kundalini. Another one of their, I think it is a bronze art picture, a bronze sculpture, and it is of a bull leaper. And so, as I have said in other videos, if you start at Orion and you follow the arrow, he is guarding against the charging bull. Well, you have to go around or leap over. You have to maneuver around the charging bull, like the Spanish bull teasers. I don't know what they're called. I'm not from Spain. But, you know, they fend off the charging bull. Well, the Minoans, you know, 4,000 years ago had this knowledge of the charging bull, and they describe it as these athletes jumping over the bull, all beautiful and artistic, but it's actually part of the journey of the soul. And when I have described it, it's like the cars start driving really fast and really aggressive, and things get really loud. The trucks start screaming kind of like a dinosaur, which would be like, you know, the charging bull snorting or something like that. So I was just fascinated that they had this knowledge, and they refer to it, man refers to it as ritual magic for them, but it is ritual magic for awakened Kundalini and the journey of the soul. And when you're doing the cosmic path work, that is very real. So another one of their beautiful art paintings are the dolphins, which would represent Delphinus, the dolphin, which is over by the by Cygnus and Aquila, and let's see. The man with the fish. There's a painting of a man, and he is, in both hands, he's holding this huge stringer of fish, and there must be 50 fish on either stringer, and he's holding it up. And that would be symbolic of a time of multiplication, of abundance. And in the Christian text, we have Jesus feeding the 5,000 loaves and fishes. And so there is a similarity that is passed on from the Minoan culture that also relates to the developed Christian, well, it was the Jewish faith, and then what has now become the Christian faith of Jesus feeding the 5,000 with loaves and fishes. Another one of their symbols is the harp, which would represent Lyra, the constellation. I also noticed on one of their pottery jugs, there was this object that was kind of fan-shaped, but it had 3 very distinct points to it, and then kind of a fanning behind it. And that reminded me of the fleur-de-lis. And the fleur-de-lis would also be represented by the trident and great power. It's also another time of great abundance, and gifts are outflowing, and you can actually drive. I can drive in the modern time the fleur-de-lis, like I can drive the triangle, the eye of God, and then I am in the eye of God. So in this realm, it's very mystical and magical, but it all relates to the soul journey of awakened Kundalini and the ancient artwork in the palaces and of the Minoans and in the tombs of the Egyptians, all refer to the path of the soul, the journey of the soul, the book of the dead, which is the book of the new day. It is how the human becomes divine in a new world. And I was just absolutely fascinated with eyes that finally see some of these designs and understand clearly what they are showing. The great S spiral, where you have kind of a spiral at the top and then it spirals down and does that same spiraling in. It's the spiraling in, the bridge, and the spiraling out. So the clockwise is out, counterclockwise is in, and it's a spiraling into God, and then you go out on the bridge, which is in between, and then you spiral back to man. And so it's a continuum of spiraling to God. You're on the bridge in the middle of the S, and then the spiral in is to man. So that is another really fascinating symbol that is actually depicted in the Minoan art, in Chinese art, in ancient rugs and carpets. They would have that great spiral. I think Buddhists have also created in some of their artwork and their carpets that same spiral, which would be like a grapevine, and that is the great continuum of the Kabbalah pathworking, which is parallel, if you will, to the cosmic pathworking. And it's just fascinating. I was actually kind of excited to recognize those symbols and understand clearly what they mean. There's also another, I think it's a frieze, when it shows a female goddess, and there are 3 men. There's a procession of people, but there are 3 men carrying these huge vases, these huge offerings to her, which would depict the great goddess who has attained immortality and then receives the 3 gifts of the Magi, the great, of Christian text, the great gifts, the promised land, if you will, for Moses, I think it was. I'm not really sure. I'm not all that familiar with all the Christian stories, but the symbolisms are so related that in all of the ancient cultures what they left behind really seemed to depict a higher spiritual knowledge and focus rather than on a temporal, earthly focus of wealth and abundance. A carriage would represent your earthly body being the vehicle of movement. The boat would be the river of life, transportation crossing the cosmic ocean, which there is, as God says in Genesis 1, he separates the heavenly oceans from the earthly oceans. And so all of that symbolism is so rich in their artwork. And it was just really fun to see that the Minoan culture was with very different symbolism, but had the very same kind of focus and left behind artifacts and art remnants that spoke of the journey of the soul. Once you awaken Kundalini, the journey begins, and all of these images and artifacts left behind depict the story of your journey and different aspects of it along the way. And they're not given in any specific order, like I have stated before relating to Jesus. There is not a timeline, but my experience is that death is the beginning of the journey, and birth is the beginning of the new world, the new sun, the new world. So I was excited. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that if any of you have wondered about the Minoan culture of Crete, that maybe this helps explain a little bit more about their culture. It was matrilineal. It seems like every 2,000 years or so, the cycle flips, and it was patriarchal. And then it turned to matrilineal, and it kind of just keeps back and forth between the progressive and moving forward of society, and then more of the building of what is already there, the building of community and spiritual focus and family life. And then 2,000 or so years later, it seems to flip again. And the next cycle is the male dominant cycle of progression and growth and advancement. So exciting video for me to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you.